If you wanted to know where players are spending their money this week, it is on the reserve list. This is the top 10 reserve list sales this week for December 16th to the 23rd of 2023. And just like last week, the sales are very abnormal, a lot of money flowing into reserve list cards, and this is what players need to know. Hi everyone and welcome back. MTG Moxman here, and thanks again for hanging out with me on the channel this week. If you're new to the channel and you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Drop some comments in the comments section and join the reserve list conversation here on the channel. Now, number 10 this week is starting out with MOX Diamond. 41 sales this week, an average price of $600 US, which means the total sales volume this week is $24,600. When you look at a card like MOX Diamond, this thing is played in multiple decks. Of course, it's desired from Stronghold, and players are cashing in cards to get it. They are using credit cards, they are using their savings accounts, whatever it takes. Players are buying the cards you're going to see this week, and that means we're either going to see a shift in pricing because their stock's a little bit low on some of these cards, or we are going to see a glut come onto the market with people hoping to capitalize on rising costs. Now, our next card comes from Weatherlight. This is Mana Web. This is a 3 generic artifact that says, whenever any land target opponent controls is tapped for mana, tap all land he or she controls that can produce any type of mana that that land can produce. Now, it's interesting it says target opponent. Remember that if you're using it in Commander, but 47 sales this week tells me players are buying it. And of course, at a $15 price point, $700 in sales volumes, this card is still desired by a lot of players who like to try to finagle some weird combos, to have some fun with a card like this, and just enjoy playing with some old school reserve list cards. This may not be the most sought after card, but the fact it hit the list and it's a whole bunch of varied sales, it's not a concentrated amount, which means a whole bunch of other people out there are buying it, means it's individuals, not a speculator, okay? So in this kind of case, somebody's actually buying the card, probably to try it out, so keep that stuff in mind. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the number 8 card this week. Here we're going to start in with the dual lands. Again, that's right guys, Scrubland is coming on. It's got $314 as the average price. 50 sales this week, or $15,703.50. These buyouts, when you see sales of $50 in reserve list cards, especially when you look at a Scrubland or a dual land type, that is a significant amount of money moving in this market of the reserve list. These are cards to pay attention to. When you look at the dual lands, players always consider it the overall health of the market, but really it just depends on who's buying it and why. Is it somebody buying a consolidated effort to say, hey, I want to own a concentrated amount of that card? Or is it somebody saying, I need cards to play for Commander, Vintage, Old School, wherever it is? And in this case, this week, it is going to be players who are not speculating. Again, these are individual cards being bought and they're varied, so it's important to know the distinction. Now, Fast Bond has been off for a week or two, and it's back on again. This card is still banned in most formats, guys. Casual groups do use it. 52 sales this week, $1,248. Not a massive sales volume, but the fact that this card is banned bothers a lot of players, including myself. We'd love to see a card like this unbanned at some point. The average price is $24 for this card. You can see the market price is $22.56, and of course it's €13.48 to get that card into your house. Here in Canada, $27 if you want a near mint copy. But the 52 sales, and the fact it's back on the list again, people are having some fun with this card. They're enjoying buying it. I'm sure this this card in this particular case, it's all speculators hoping that at some point the card becomes unbanned. And that means a huge glut would hit the market. Always keep an eye out if you can find one cheap and in near mint condition. Great card to hold a couple of copies of. But in this case, it's definitely speculators. Keep that stuff in mind. Let's drop down and take a look at the number 6 card this week. Interesting to see. Now, the number 6 card is Savannah. Now, last week, these cards were really high up on the list, and Savannah here at $303 has dipped a bit in price, making it slightly more affordable for the heavily played to moderately played copies. The total sales volume of 55 copies, though, that's $16,711. That's a lot of cash to flow again into another dual land for weeks in a row. This isn't the first time we've seen this card in the last little while hitting the list. We saw Tiga last week at number 1. This is kind of crazy to think. A lot of players are putting a lot of money behind these dual lands. For what purpose? Why are they buying it? Well, there's several reasons. The fact it's cheap and affordable is the major driving factor for these moderate to heavily played copies, guys. Players want to play with them. Now, Sevi Excavations is back on the list this week. This is the card of the channel, the one I buy the most copies I can. 58 sales this week. Average price is only $13.52, or a total sales volume of $748 and some change. Now, Sevi Excavations does come into play. You got to sacrifice an untapped island or bury Sevi Excavations, but it taps for 1 blue and 1 other. You can also tap it and pay 1. Look at the top card of your library, and you can put that card on the bottom. That is an early form of scry that I love to utilize in multiple decks, especially you add that in with cards like Rivendell and Castle Vantress into a blue combo deck. You've got a lot of scrying ability, a lot of ways of looking ahead, and that is a very important factor when you're playing Magic in Commander. I love the card. I still even play it in my vintage deck. I can't help myself. It's the card of the channel. If you don't own one, buy one. Support the channel that way. We love it. And also, guys, don't forget, if you want, you can use my TCG affiliate link. If you're buying any cards on TCG Player, my affiliate link is found in the description of the video. Every time you use my link, you are supporting the channel. I appreciate it. Thank you. Now, our number 4 card this week is Tiga. Can you believe it, guys? Tiga is still hanging in there. 59 sales this week, $19,840 in sales, an average price tag of $336.28 US. Again, just like Savannah, this card's still dipping a bit in price, and that has just got players thinking, hey, I've got $80 in credit. We got these buyback things on TCG Player where you get bonus points and bonus bucks, free shipping combinations. I'm going to take up on these offers. I'm going to buy these cards now while I still can, and that's just how a lot of players are feeling when they're worried about prices shifting in the future. It does make a lot of sense if you can afford to buy them, and if you can't, you can always try to trade up later if it's a card you've always desired. But that was our number 4 card. Let's step into the realm of our top 3. The number 3 card this week is Badlands. That's right, guys. More dual lands on the list. Something to really focus on. How long has it been since this many dual lands are coming in? 60 sales this week. Total sales volume, $23,250 US. Average price tag of $387.51 US. This card, like all the other dual lands, I'll tell you right now, it is moderate to heavily played copies that are most often selling. These are also the cards most being traded for at your local LGS if they have heavily played copies. Players want to utilize them. They want to play with them. They want to actually use them in a deck. They want to use it in their commander decks, old school. They want to use it in legacy decks and vintage decks. Pay attention, guys. The market may be shifting sooner than players realize. Let's drop down to the number 2 card this week. Pardon me, guys. Number 2 is Triangle of War from Visions, still hanging in there. We know it was on the list last week, massive amount of sales, and it still makes the list this week. $2.91, 63 sales this week, but that total sales volume is basically the same as last week. I think it went up by like $1 something. $183.33 shows that this card is just so cheap. It's a single casting cost in artifact that says 2 in sacrifice, and the Triangle of War, choose target creature you control and target creature your opponent controls. Each of those creatures fights each other, okay? But remember this card can come back. There's ways of bringing these things back around, and it fits into any deck. It's never too late to get one at this point. So, hey, for $1.50, go buy one on TCG Player. I can't believe it's this cheap still, so amazing. You don't have to buy near mint, remember. You just need a playable copy. Let's see number 1. Number 1 is it, guys. We're here almost at the end, and the number 1 card this week is Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune, guys. Watch these numbers. It is crazy to think Wheel wasn't even on the list last week. I did mention it, but now it just pops in there. 71 sales this week. $19,809. And guess what? This one has sales across the spectrum. Light played, near mint, heavily played, damaged copies. Every copy under the sun had some kind of action, and they're all revised copies. Yes, there was 2 unlimited, but I don't count those in these sales volumes. It's by the type. So in this case, those unlimited would not be included, or I'd say it's 73. And the 1 beta that sold would have made it 74. But either way, 71 sales of revised copies of this card. This is one I've always said players should own at least 1 copy of. And I guess at the price point, $279 seems expensive for near mint, sure. But if you're only paying 150 for heavily played or 130 for a damaged copy, players just want to have the real deal. They don't want to proxy it. They want the real card. And sales like this just prove that point. Reserve list is where it's at for investors. But not only investors, collectors, not just the speculators, but the players. The players who want to own the card and actually play with it. Back when the speculators ruled the market on a lot of these cards and the prices got so inflated, players considered it insurmountable to buy a $700 Wheel of Fortune. But 170, 200, 210, the card looks a lot more affordable than it did a couple of years ago. Players have found ways to buy these copies. These are not, most of these cards at least, in this case guys, are not from the speculator group. Sure, we have a couple of cards that might be, but all the higher end cards on today's list do not appear to be speculation. They appear to be individual sales mapped and spotted all over the place to give you the total sales volume numbers. Players are finally being able to afford the cards and add them to decks they've always wanted to. That means more new players or players who have a lower bankroll are finally able to get some of these cards and say that they've stepped into the world of reserve list buying. They've stepped into the world of owning a card they've always wanted to own. And that's good on several fronts. Number one, younger players, well, I got a couple of emails this week. When you have a player buying a heavily played Wheel of Fortune and he's 22 years old, okay? That player now is exposed to reserve list. Finally owns a card they've always wanted and may fall in love and have a passion for it later on. I think that's amazing to see new players come into this area of the game. And the fact they play it in multiple deck constructions, yeah, they got to switch it out right now, but that's okay. It's an expensive card to buy. When you see somebody buy a MOX Diamond or a play set of MOX Diamond and say, I've always wanted to own these, I'm glad they're not $1,200 anymore, that is great to see players be able to get some of these cards. Yeah, $600 is still a huge amount of money for some people, but for others, it's not so much. It's an affordable thing with a few trade-ins, a few little deals, or some store credit. Either way, these sales volumes we're ending off the year on are not normal to this type of time and the sales volume at the end of a year. So I consider this a moment. It's that pinch moment right now, guys, for MTG Finance, where players just do not believe enough in the new products coming out, so they are relying and kicking back on the old things that are tried, trusted, and true. These are the cards they believe in. Either way, fascinating stuff. Thanks a lot for hanging out with me today. Thanks for being here on the channel. Right now, we are probably at Christmas Eve, right? It's in the morning of Christmas Eve. I'll be checking in on the comment sections. I hope you guys enjoy my videos throughout the week. I'm wishing you guys a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. I won't be any live streaming until January 7th on my birthday. I'll see you guys there. And again, if you enjoyed the content, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I hope you had a great time this year, just like I did, putting all these videos together. Thanks for supporting the channel. Thanks to my patrons, my YouTube membership members. And I will see you guys soon for the 20K party. And the 20K purchase video will be in the new year. If you're this far in the video, it will be in the new year. Okay, guys? Thanks a lot for hanging out. Thanks for being here. Loved it. See you guys soon. Don't forget, bring a friend to Magic. Thanks again, guys, to my amazing patrons, supporters of the channel who help make this content possible each and every day. To my YouTube membership members, my patrons, thanks again, guys. Looking forward to another amazing year. Welcome back to the Ramble Jamble. I feel like I just saw you guys here. All right, I'm sorry. I gotta get a drink of water. Throat's dry. If you made it this far, I want you guys to drop a boomstick in the comments section because you know that I know that you know that we both know. Yeah, it's all good. The sales are going to be higher next week for the reserve list. I can see it coming down the pipeline, and I want you guys to expect it. No price shifting has happened yet. There's been no upshift to say the market's like reacting to this. It is still very quiet overall in terms of the big scheme of things, but these things turn around. I'm not expecting anything right now. But these steady sales, you know, with gift cards, discounts from local stores, all that stuff combined has led to higher volumes than normal. And that's kind of crazy considering there's no speculators fueling the market right now, wondering if things are going to uptrend. And there's no speculators consolidating on a lot of the higher end cards. They're just letting the prices drift wherever the market is going to take them, and that's a healthy market. Buyer and sellers meeting at whatever price they find acceptable. Good for everyone. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. See you guys soon. Drop some comments. I'll see you guys there. See you soon. I'm out of here.